Okay, guys, take 4 on this video. Hopefully it works. And if not, it's okay. Life will go on. All is good. So, first, I want to set you up for giving you history on World War One. World War One. World War One. A lot of stuff happened. This is just a brief overview. So the first thing I want you to do is open up your ISN to your Europe map. And I'm twiddling my thumbs, and I should see ISNs being open, looking for your Europe map, maybe looking for your title. You only have got a couple pages in there, so it shouldn't take you that long to find it. You should be there now. Okay, so the first thing, now bring your attention to the Promethean board. When we're talking about World War One was started originally by 2 countries. Austria-Hungary, which is this big yellow blob on the map, and Serbia, which is the red outlined country south of Austria-Hungary. Now, Austria-Hungary was a collection of it's an empire. And what they did was they gained land and territory by invading nearby countries. And in 1914, they invaded Serbia, and Serbia's right, that red outlined country to the south. And y'all, whenever we're talking about invasions are never good, right? Like, no one likes to be invaded, whether it's your personal space, your private property, your house, alien invasions. Like, invasions are no bueno, okay? No one likes to be invaded. Serbia was no exception. They were furious that Austria-Hungary invaded them. And so what they did was they're like, you know what? You're going to invade us. We are going to assassinate your duke, which is kind of a I don't want to say a funny story, right? Because someone died, but they had so many failed attempts on assassinating this guy, Franz Ferdinand. And when they did get it right, it was kind of by accident. So anyway, they assassinated the Duke of Austria-Hungary. Austria-Hungary was now also very furious with that retaliation. They were so mad. Oh, and there's our guy, Franz Ferdinand, whose death sparked World War One. Notable thing about him, his mustache reminds me of Joseph Stalin's. That's really all it is that I have to say about that. Okay, so Austria-Hungary was super upset about that, and so they decided, you know what, we're going to declare war on Serbia. And they're like, you know what? We can do that because y'all are a tiny country. You've got no borders, because now, like, you're our country. You've got no defenses. You've got a really, really small army. We're going to go ahead and take over. And you're good, Miss Havard. Everyone's like, hi, Miss Havard. Hi, Miss Havard. Okay. So they declare war on Serbia, and Serbia's like, you know what? We're not that worried because we have a secret alliance with Russia. Now, Russia is a huge country, very, very big, strong military. And, like, Russia's about to do some damage. So Russia's like, all right, guess we're going to war with Austria-Hungary. And hold on one moment. I cannot talk and write at the same time. You're good. Oh, you're dated. Thank you, ma'am. And yeah, just leave that with me, and then I'll look at it. Great. Thank you. You're great. Say bye, Miss Havard. Bye, Miss Havard. All right. So they had a secret alliance with Russia. Russia's like, all right, Austria-Hungary, we're going to take y'all over. We're going to go to war, and we're going to win. And Austria-Hungary, you think they'd be a little scared, but they're not, because they also have a secret alliance. They have a secret alliance with Germany, and, like, the German military, like, okay, something you got to know about the German culture is they are punctual, and they do things correctly, and they do things well, almost a little too well. And that is the case when it comes to wars, as you'll see here. So if you look at the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, huge compared to Serbia. And so that's why they thought Serbia is not going to stand a chance. Okay, so the reason why I wanted you to have your maps open, good, is the right one, is because I want you to look at Germany on your map, and I want you to look at Germany on the board. Raise your hand if you can tell me what is the difference between Germany now and Germany in the 1400s. hopefully someone raised their hand and said that, oh, well, Germany is a lot bigger, or it used to be a lot bigger, and Germany is smaller today. And that is the case. We'll put that in your brain for later. We'll talk about it. So there were two sides of World War I. There was the Triple Entente, and I always remember that's the side that France was on because Triple Entente sounds very French. And then there's the Central Powers. So the Triple Entente was France, the United Kingdom, and Russia. And I guess Romania, all these yellow countries, Italy, and they were originally backing up Serbia. And then you have the Central Powers, and I think Central Powers, they are in the center of this map, is Germany, Bulgaria, Turkey, and they're backing up Austria, Hungary. And the Germans were very, very destructive. All sides. Here's the thing, right? Wars are awful. It doesn't matter if it's a civil war, World War I, wars are just awful. They are a drain on a country's economy, their finances. People die, right? Like, it's just not good. But World War I was particularly nasty. There was what's called trench warfare, where people would dig ditches, and there's these giant ditches, and you would fight from the ditches. You would hide in the ditches. You would go to the bathroom in the ditches. You would eat in the ditches. You sleep in the ditches. The trenches, I should say, the trenches. Not good at all. And there was also, like, the weapons were very modernized compared to the techniques and the war styles that were, can't think of the word I'm looking for, but the techniques and strategies that were being used were kind of outdated by the artillery and the machinery that was being used in World War I. This is at a time when, during war, people would line up in these lines and they would charge with their bayonets. But they would be met with machine rifles and machine guns, and they would just get mowed down. The people charging into battles. And so when they realized, okay, like, we really need to stay in the trenches, because, it was just nasty. And so after about 4 years in 1918, they're like, casualties on both sides were tremendous. We need to end this war now. And so they met on November 11th, 1918, in the Palace of Versailles in France. And sounds fancy is fancy. Take a look at this palace. What? Gorgeous, right? So they met here, the powers, and they decided, okay, like, we need to end this war. We need to create, they called it an armistice, which is basically like a peace agreement. And they met at the Treaty of Versailles. And decided, okay, we need to end this war. And when they ended the war, they came up with something called the German reparations. There are 4 parts to that, okay? The German reparations, one of the first things was that Germany had to they had to take the blame. They had to take the fall for World War I. Like, World War I was our fault. Germany is like, Serbia, you're the ones that asked us to go in and defend y'all, and we did. Remember when I said that Germans sometimes do things a little too well? Well, they, I think, caused the most damage and the most casualties in the war. And so because they were the most destructive force in World War I, they were said, okay, like, you have to take the blame. Germany was like, okay, like, this is not good and not fair. I don't like it. That's only one part, okay? Another part, Germany had to decrease their borders. They had to become a smaller country, reduce their borders. And that's why the map on, like, today's map of Germany looks a lot different than Germany in 1914. So they had to take the blame. They had to, reduce their borders. They also had to pay a bunch of money, like a bunch of debt. And they're like, okay, like, that sounds like not that big a deal. Guys, Germany finally finished paying the debt of World War I in 2010. You were alive when Germany was still paying off the debt of World War I. Like, that's insane. That's a lot of money. One of the things you should do when you have free time, one of my students did this, but they looked up how much Germany had to pay for World War I, and then they looked at the net worth of Jeff Bezos. It's a very interesting comparison that you can make between that. Anyway, all right, so German reparations, okay, take the blame for the war, pay back a bunch of money, reduce the size of their country. The last thing that Germany had to do was get rid of their military. They were not allowed to have a military. And now Germany is like, what? Like, what are y'all doing to us? Like, we came in this war to support you, like you asked us to, and now we're taking the fall and having to do all of these things. And so there's a lot of shame, a lot of anger, a lot of hostility in Germany at this time after World War I ends. And that is really what sets the stage for World War II, which we'll come back to tomorrow. Okay, that leaves us with what we're doing today. So that's kind of like some general background knowledge for y'all to come back to. This is what you're filling out. It's called a triple or 3-column notes. And 3-column notes, the first column, you've got a topic. Description, you need to put the main idea of the topic. Okay, so you're going to be doing online articles, and I'm not going to tell you what the main idea is. I'm not telling you what to write, okay? Y'all need to write down and take your own notes on what you think the main idea is, the main description, the juice of the story, okay, for the topic. In this case, Franz Ferdinand. All right, so after you do your description, the third column is kind of like the what makes it your own, okay, your own 3-column notes. There's different things that you can choose from. So one of them is a connection. So let's say that as you're reading through and you're reading about how this guy got assassinated, you're like, you know what? This reminds me of fill in the blank, somebody else who was assassinated. Maybe we just had a holiday about him. I don't know. You can write down his name. Oh, so-and-so was also assassinated. That's a connection, okay? You just connected information, new information to something you already knew. You could also write down significance. Why was this important? Why was Franz Ferdinand being assassinated important? Vocabulary words. I know I said a couple in this video. So as you're going down here, like what are some vocabulary words that can be tied to the topic and the description? And countries involved, people involved. Y'all do not put Franz Ferdinand here because he's already here. You can't list the same thing twice. Okay? That's pretty much all I have. Make sure you give your attention to me when this video is finished, or your real teacher if another teacher is using this. And I hope this is beneficial, and happy Wednesday, everyone.